Hello, Detroit and the world. Welcome to another episode of Authentically Detroit, broadcasting live from the Audio Wave Network studios here on Detroit's Lower East Side, powered by Eastside Community Network, and sponsored by none other than the Ford Foundation. I'm Orlando Bailey.
And I'm Donna Givens.
Thank you for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform for authentic voices for real people on the east side of Detroit. We want you to like and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you listen to us on. We drop a new EP every week. So tap in. And we have two very special guests in the building with us today. We are happy to welcome Angela Wilson and Dillon Brown from our Community Organizing and Planning Department at ECN. And a little later on, we're also talking with State Representative Sherry Gay-Dagnogo and her quest to request clemency for former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show, Dillon and Angela.
Yo, what's up? Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you guys here. This is the second ECN staff interview we've done. We've interviewed our Climate Equity Director, Richard Ackerman, but we're happy to have Cop in the building.
Word. So we number two.
Number two. How was everybody's weekend? What y'all do? Anything fun?
Well, something interesting happened. I got a puppy that I just got this past year, and he's giving me a lot of, issues. So I left him in the house over the past weekend, and I came back to a huge surprise in my living room. So getting used to him.
What did he do?
What the surprise was?
Yeah.
Well, he kind of tore up my carpet, messed all over the carpet. So he did a lot of things that you would expect a puppy to do.
You didn't leave him in the cage? He has a cage?
He getting older, so he in the cage a lot. So I'm trying to,
house train him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Backfired.
Been there, done that.
Speaking of getting older.
Donna, you got to tell everybody the story because this story is hilarious.
It's really not.
Yes, it is. Can I set it up? Let me tell you what real quick.
Okay.
So we walked out of the Authentically Detroit podcast recording last week, and Donna was like really limping badly. I'm like, yo, what is going on? Because, she had been sick. She was in here the other week with a mask on. I'm like, every time I see you, there's an ailment. What's up? She was like, I don't know, but, I'm dealing with it. It just hurts. Rah, 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 rah. And so all week long, last week, she was walking around with this limp until about, was it Wednesday or Thursday?
It was Thursday morning.
Thursday morning. Oh, yeah, because Wednesday she wanted to go to the hospital because it was becoming unbearable. But we had to host an event on the west side. She was like, I can't go to the hospital. I got to be on the west side for this event. She went Thursday morning and came to my office and said what?
I said, I'm getting old.
So that was a issue.
Arthritis.
She got arthritis. And I bust out laughing.
Yeah,
I was crying laughing.
It was such a shock.
Funny.
I was like, this is ridiculous. I thought surely I had bone cancer or something. I was just ready to hear the worst. I was like, let me just get rid of this weekend. So everything will be in order because they're probably going to have to take me in.
And all that precipitation last week.
Oh, just arthritis. So I spent the weekend, actually what weekend? Because Saturday we had an event.
Right.
And then, but in the free time, I didn't really go out and do anything. I watched Netflix and chilled.
Okay.
And I watched.
Okay. Wait. You do know what Netflix and chill means?
Yeah, I do.
You just got oh my God. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
There's this new show out.
We have the coolest CEO. I just want y'all to know. She knows what it meant. So facts. Go ahead, Donna. At least somebody.
We watched Queen Sono on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
You have to watch that. Queen Sono is Angela, you seen it?
I didn't see it. I saw the ad for it.
You gotta watch it.
No, I watch it.
You gotta watch it.
Netflix and then chill.
I'm still
Queen
tripping.
Sono. Well, you gotta watch Queen Sono though. It's great. It's about this South African freedom fighter.
Yeah, it's number
woman,
one. It's the number one.
And it's really it depicts all of the controversy and conflict in Africa, and it's just so interesting to see us reflected in African people. Probably the most amazing part of the series was just looking at films of Johannesburg. I was like, that is beautiful. And why are all the people black? So I had to Google it to see how many black people lived in Johannesburg. It's like 80%.
Right.
And it is so high tech and beautiful that just watching the show gave me so much black pride and also a greater understanding of the perspectives of race and colonization from Black people in Africa.
Yeah.
So
One of the best books
must
I've
see.
read was Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, and he
Oh, my
talks about
goodness.
it's probably easily within the last 10 years, and he talks about the world perception, particularly Western civilization's perception of what Africa is and what it looks like. And he grew up in Johannesburg and visited Cape Town and all of that, and he says we're pretty advanced, place. It's not feed the children all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you haven't read Trevor's book, you should check it out. Born a Crime.
And you know what? If you like audiobooks, or even if you
Oh,
don't,
That's me.
you have to listen
You
to
gotta listen to 'em.
audiobooks
Yeah.
because it's his voice.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And he is it won the audiobook of the year
Wow.
because he is such a compelling storyteller. Him telling the stories about his mother and him using all the voices and accents. I mean, I had this perception of him, which is false, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he grew up in this privileged life in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's colored, right?
Mhm.
And so coloreds live these special lives. But he was born to an African woman illegally. So
Wow.
he could not live with
apartheid.
colored people.
Mm-hmm.
He had to live in the homelands with African people. So he grew up as a Black African.
Mm-hmm.
So they considered him a white boy because he was so light.
Wow.
But he was not part of the colored community. He was part of the Black community, even though he did not really resemble most of the Black people. And his perceptions and understanding and explanations for race relations, I mean, it's just second to none. Orlando's right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
read the book, listen to the
Listen
book,
to it. Yes.
Listen
I
to the
listened
book. And also watch Queen Sono. And we'll talk about it next time you guys are on
Well,
here.
I want to
We'll see.
Netflix and chill like Donna. But I Netflix, I didn't do the and chill part a little bit because, like Donna, what weekend? We were together most of the weekend. I finished this riveting show on Netflix. It's called Love is Blind. And it's this reality show where it's this social experiment where they put people in a house and they date, but you can't see the person you're dating. You can only hear their voices, and you have like a week to like find like your true love and get engaged.
Yeah.
So you date these people in these pods, you talk to them. People were falling in love in these
Interesting.
pods.
Group of people in the
Interesting.
house.
Yeah, but they have individualized pods, so you can date different folks. And so then this one woman is from Detroit. Her name is Lauren Speed or Sneed or something like that. Went to school with a few of my friends, and like she got married. So you date, you go on the honeymoon, and you date. Then after you get proposed to, you meet them in person, right?
Wow.
You meet them in person, and then you travel to a honeymoon and to see if the emotional connection transforms into a physical one, right?
Wow.
And then you move in together back in the States, and you live this life for a few weeks while planning a wedding, and then you have a wedding. And at the altar, you get to say whether or not I do or I don't.
That's
The
wild.
altar. Ooh.
Listen, it sounds crazy. It's not like anything that I would watch if I was explaining it to myself. I'm like, I'm not watching that. But I caught it, and it was riveting. I'm not kidding you. Watch Love is Blind, and we can have this discussion.
All right.
What happened to can I get your number? Walking down the street. What
Man.
Is that how you
But
met
what
your
happened-
girlfriend? Or,
Nah,
Dillon?
no. You gonna say my name again? Nope.
But what they wanted to do was take the physicality out of it and
Yeah.
see if people can really connect emotionally without. And then the other thing that was compelling is that they had no devices. So the only thing they could do in the house was either talk, and they separated all the men. The men was on one side and the women were on the other. You couldn't see each other, and all you had to do was date with no outside distractions. And so it was, man, it's something.
Sounds
I
interesting.
have to watch
That's
that.
two
I'm
shows.
good. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So how was your weekend, Dylan, Angela?
Mine was cool. I did my water aerobics on Saturday morning, and we had a substitute. I thought she was trying to kill us, but it was all fun. I enjoyed it. I love the water, so that was fun. And
Where do you do that at, Angela?
over at the fitness center on The Boulevard in Second.
Okay.
Fitness Works.
Oh, okay.
You get paid for commercials. I probably shouldn't be saying.
No, you're good. we Detroit.
Well, I don't know because you said she tried to kill you. I don't know if that's...
No, she's a Zumba instructor and another one of these other weight training
All in one.
thing. Yeah, but she was the sub for water aerobics, so she had us doing all this other stuff
Sheesh.
with the weights and stuff in the water. It's like I think we're supposed to do this on land.
And so, Dillon, you met your girlfriend this weekend. You whispered to her and said, "Can you have her number?" when she was walking down the street, right? That's what happened?
That's not what happened.
Oh, okay.
That's not what happened. Just to clear the air, that is not how it happened.
How was your weekend, sir?
It's great, man. Like I said, my puppy, just getting used to him. Didn't watch a lot of Netflix, but I'll keep in mind those shows that you guys articulated.
Yeah,
Extremely graphic.
Queen Sono and Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to check it out. You got to check it out. So, it's time for Fresh Off the Press news that we are thinking about. This is our commentary on news items relevant to the city of Detroit. If you have news stories that you want us to cover, you can send them to authenticallydetroit@gmail.com or hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit. So, I'll go first. Fresh off the press, Governor Whitmer signs tax break for poor Detroiters into law. Christine McDonald from the Detroit News is reporting. All right, so the governor signed some legislation into law today, and I'm missing my. Here we go. Thank you. So the legislation took just 4 months to pass, even in a Republican-controlled legislature. It was a bipartisan effort, and Representative Wendell Byrd of Detroit sponsored this new legislation. So this is dubbed, Mike Duggan has been calling it, pay as you stay. So this is what it does, everybody. It eliminates delinquent tax debt, interest, and fees for thousands of low-income Detroit homeowners. The remainder of debt is capped at 10% of their home's taxable value. And the pitch is temporary help for thousands of Detroiters struggling to repay debt they likely never had to pay if they had known about the city's low-income tax break, otherwise known as the HP-TAP poverty tax exemption. Governor Whitmer says that this is a policy reflecting the needs of citizens. So up to 30,000 homeowners might qualify, according to the city of Detroit officials. And so this is one step closer, I guess, to, I don't know if this is a step closer, but this is an initiative on part of the mayor and the Detroit delegation to the legislature to try to help some folks get some relief. I don't know if it goes far enough, but it does something.
Right. The activist in me says, no, they shouldn't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
The realist in me says people can stay in their homes more likely with this. On Wednesday, Orlando and I heard a compelling story that if you listen to the podcast when we talked about tax breaks from a woman who lost a $160,000 home.
Wow.
And she said it wasn't a house, it was her home. And by the time she got done, she had everybody in the audience crying, including 2 people who also lost their home that were featured in Christine McDonald's breaking story about the $600 million overcharge. So I say hats off to the mayor. I've said for a long time that he marched to Lansing and he demanded these what are the brownfields tax credits?
Yeah, the brownfield tax credits.
I can't think of the word.
Transformational
brownfield tax credits, and got those passed. He has enough political pull to march to Lansing and also get, this changes to the poverty, tax foreclosure law passed, and he has not changed that. Okay, but he has made it easier for people to stay in their homes, and we will see fewer foreclosures if people enroll in poverty tax exemption programs. Yeah. Now, there are about 30,000 people who qualify. How many of them know they qualify? How many of them will apply and have all of the documentation they need? And that really puts the onus on the city and all of us working in the city to make sure that we catch as many people as we can so that they receive this benefit.
That's the question. And then We want to talk about, just this process. How do you become a part of the Pay As You Stay? So you would apply for this current year's poverty tax exemption. You can do that at Eastside Community
Yes, you
Network,
can.
right,
Yes,
Angela?
you can.
What days? The second Monday? What is it?
Second Monday of every month. There's one coming up next week on Monday at 2 to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are the challenges, though, Angela, Dillon, in getting people to sign up? What challenges do you see overseeing this program for ECN?
I think one of the challenges is people who have these family homes, that has been in their family for dozens and dozens of years, and somebody passes away and leaves it, but nobody goes to probate. So they feel like they still own the house, but they don't have legal authority to even apply for a property tax exemption.
Right.
And some of them, sometimes in families, you don't want to talk about money, right? Because you don't know how people are going to get. When you start talking about transferring the house into their name so they can qualify for benefits. So that is a challenge for some families that still needs to be worked out. There are organizations out there willing to help people, get the probate taken care of, but they have to come forward and, and get the support of their relatives to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is. Dillon, what have you seen?
I think an additional barrier that we saw last year, I think that the residents of the community, they tend to wait till kind of like the last minute. So if they come into our office and there's not a document they have, it's something that they're missing, because we need all of the documents. And if there's something that they're missing, we have to send them back. But because there's only a limited amount of time now, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So I think the biggest thing is just trying to ensure that we push the word as much as possible so that we can get residents in early and ensure that we help them as much as we can.
Yeah, I would just say one more thing, and that is that sometimes we have a hard time, people have a hard time assembling documentation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I think that, we want to make sure that we make it as easy as possible for people to assemble the documentation that they need.
Absolutely.
And so, how do you find, how much time do you find, or what kind of documents do people need help with, Angela?
They just have to have the documents. So it varies. Some people have everything and they're very well organized. Some people believe they have everything, but they have no organization. So they bring you a bag and want to, you got to kind of sit there and go through it. For the most part, you need your identification to prove that you live in the home, and you need a copy of the ID of anybody over 18 who lives in the home. If there are any children in the home, you need to prove that they live there. And the way you do that is either with a report card that has the address and the child's name on it, or if you're getting some kind of benefit that includes a annual report that gives the kid's name and the value of the benefit, that can suffice. But but documentation that the kid and all the adults live in the home, and then obviously a copy of the deed that has your name on it. Now, if the deed has anybody else's name on it, either you have to prove that they don't live there, or you have to document them as, their income being counted. We had one situation last year in December where we had a gentleman who lived in a family home. He and his brother, it was a 2-family flat. It's a bunch of kids, like 12 kids or something. And they had lived in this 2-family flat as a single house their whole lives. So he and his brother were living there, parents were dead. And the house was left to all of them with all 12 of their names on the deed.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
But his family cooperated, and that he didn't realize that when he came in the door that he needed to prove that they didn't live there.
Yeah.
But every one of his siblings took a copy of their ID and got it to him, texted to him, and we were able to print it out in the office. So he was able to apply for the exemption, even though it took a while.
Right.
Some people don't get that kind of cooperation, and some people,
Some people don't have that kind of support, though.
Exactly.
Because one thing that sprang to mind, and I don't want to condemn anybody, but this woman was saying that she went and got help from somebody, and she could not really understand the help that they were providing her. And so, she got help, but she didn't know how to use the help. And it struck me that the problem was that you can't just tell people what to do.
Right.
People have different ability levels.
Yes.
People have different understandings of how to get things done.
Yes.
And one thing I admire about the ECN staff, and yes, I'm a tiny bit biased, is the fact that the ECN staff are very loving and caring and do not make people feel ashamed for not understanding things, and make sure you stay with people to the end. And I think that probably leads to a much higher level of compliance and also completion.
Absolutely.
So we're going to continue that this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We are not given a lot of money. We do get some money, but we don't do it because we're making money off of it, because we make very, very little, probably 15 cents for everybody we help. And that may be an exaggeration. But right now, we're going to talk about.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with State Representative Sherry Gay-Dagnogo.
All right. So joining us by phone as we discuss this next story is State Representative Sherry Gay-Dagnogo. Thank you for joining us, Representative Dagnogo, and thank you for joining us at this last minute.
We make it happen. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, listen.
I mean, you're breaking news.
Yes,
you're
you
all
are.
over the place,
I
Rep.
just want to tell you how much I admire you for being a woman I could never be. And I mean that in the sincerest way, because I saw some pictures and I was like, that's my girl, okay? Because I couldn't do it. But but you went to D.C.
You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at what you can do and when it presents itself. Yeah. And when you're predestined to do it, you'll be amazed.
You're right. You're right. I'm just not predestined to do that
She
thing.
gonna preach.
Okay. So, and I say that because, but why don't we step back? Not everybody knows what you did last week. So why don't you take us back? I was listening to you on Let It Rip. Can you give us a short summary of what you did last week?
So, yeah, basically, I followed out the request after receiving an opportunity to go to the White House to deliver a message via a letter to the president to ask him to look favorably on the commutation or clemency petition that is already before him for Kwame Kilpatrick. I was invited to the White House to their National African American History Celebration after building a relationship with one of his senior officials. I guess they considered me safe. And they invited me, and I went, and we've been talking about the clemency request after having Deron Smith speak at a breakfast in D.C. and in Detroit, of which I hosted. It was placed in a room that local pastors who had already signed on to the clemency petition wanted very much to make sure that the president understood that that is what we wanted. And so we wrote a letter. Several Detroit caucus members signed onto it, as well as some additional pastors and elected officials locally. And I went to the African American History event, and I took the letter with me. And an opportunity presented itself, and I actually gave it directly to the president in lieu of his staff.
Yeah, we saw pictures of that, and like I said, many are called, but few are chosen. So, that was an emotional moment, I think, for you to be there in the White House. And I saw you actually post that, growing up, you never imagined you would be in that position. Thank you for, first of all, demonstrating the leadership to do that. I do have some thoughts about it, though, because that same convening, we also saw pictures of various people, including Diamond and Silk and other people I don't really have much respect for, laying hands on the president. And it looked crazy to me and to many other people who did it. And then Jack Brewer from the NFL referred to President Trump as the first black president, and really talked about his record with criminal justice reform, which seems to be the narrative that I'm hearing coming from a number of people, that he is a great reformer of criminal justice.
Well, I didn't see that part of it while I did it. So it was almost like, for me, an out-of-body experience to kind of like look around the room at all of these black people who were there. And yes, I did see Diamond and what's her name? Is it Silk?
I think so.
Yeah, Silk.
I saw them, and I'm never really speechless.
I
In
bet.
that moment,
They will
no,
make you
I'm
speechless.
never, if you know me, I'm never speechless. But that was one setting that, kind of had me a bit in awe, just trying to determine what was really real.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really interesting. I mean, there were a number of Black people there that were sincerely happy. Many of them were business people, but they weren't like corporate execs per se, but they were people who you could tell have had an opportunity to come up.
Right.
And just opportunities. It was talked. A lot was expressed about the opportunities to do business. There was one young lady that was there that I had a conversation with. I met that day. She was actually one of the last people that President Obama pardoned.
One of the last people that the President Obama pardoned. Okay.
President Obama pardoned. And it was a really interesting conversation because when she saw my photo, she was like, "What is that?" And I let her, her face kind of like went sour. And then for whatever reason, I guess she dealt with a lot of the brunt of people thinking President Obama would have pardoned, but he pardoned her. And so she had this like edge, like, well, like I should be asking for clemency for him. And I'm like, but you got pardoned, so why wouldn't you? But I mentioned her because she's also a businesswoman, and she was to the Pillow Man. I never knew who the Pillow Man was. He was there, and so she started talking to him about opportunities. So it's just this mindset in that environment where they feel like, and I'm really kind of like researching it, they all have plugged into different opportunities to further their business agenda.
Well, I would say that, to that point, I know it had to be interesting being in a room with a part of the Black electorate who is actually fond of Donald Trump and who wants to work with him.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can say
not just fond of him, but they were fond of him, but they were also business people whose agenda was primarily looking for more opportunities for business.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing,
No.
but it was just an environment. It was an interesting environment.
But Sherry, I am such I've admirer of you, right? Because you have always stood up for what is right in Detroit, right? And you speak truth to power on the regular. But I gotta say that Kevin Orr was a businessman. And Jack Martin, who I know, who was my auditor some time ago, is a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And
Robert Bob.
when Robert Bob was a businessman, and so we know that business people can do very well under administrations that exploit and harm our people. So I was just looking at it because I think I sincerely hope, first of all, completely agree. Kwame Kilpatrick's sentence is ridiculously long, and he should not be in prison for 28 years. I don't think that it is proportional. I think that you throw the book at a Black man, and there's one example people use in, I believe, Cleveland, Ohio, to say, well, this makes it fair. But you can't use an outlier like that to make something fair. Nolan Finley cites that. But you had to really search hard. And so I'm not concerned about your outliers. I'm concerned about norms in sentencing. And so I would agree with you on that. And I sincerely hope he is freed. I think that, it was, anyway. But I do want to point out some things about Donald Trump's criminal justice record that I think gets swept under the rug. Because he did sign the First Step Act, which is bipartisan legislation, and yet this is the same president who also has promoted heavier use of stop and frisk policing. So we're mad at Michael Bloomberg, but Trump administration has said that, and he has also voided consent decrees with police departments all over the nation.
Law and order.
He brought back the federal death penalty and fueled the expansion of private prisons, what the First Step Act also does, while making it possible for some not all prisoners to have their sentences reduced. And in fact, the Justice Department has been fighting to keep people from being released and also to put people back in prison
Come with
on
the facts.
his watch,
That's right.
And he has had, there's been 204 requests for commutation. He has approved 24 to date, which is the lowest number of any president in modern history. By contrast, President Obama freed 1,700 people, which was more than all the people before him. So when Jack Brewer gives this man that much credit for, first of all, this is a man who took out a full-page ad saying that teenagers should be executed for a crime they did not commit.
That's right.
And even when they found out that he still says that they committed that crime. This is a man who kept birtherism alive and also questioned President Obama's academic credentials and his intelligence. And so you cannot convince me that anybody who does that is also, on the side of freedom. Now, if for some reason in his political calculus, he decides it makes sense to free Kwame, I don't blame you. You got to go and do what you can and make it happen if you can. But what I don't want to see is a narrative that whitewashes his truth. And so I think that we've got to do two things. You got to go out there and take your letters and everything. And on my side, I've got to keep on spreading the truth so that people don't get confused in the city of Detroit. Can you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think we'll have an opportunity to do that. And so one thing I'll say is serving in the legislature for 5 years, this is my last term, I've found those places where opportunity presents itself. The opportunity is not always the most convenient. It's not always the cleanest. It's not always the most desired. But when you can get a favorable outcome without sacrificing your values and what you believe in, you seize that opportunity. My relationship is with Congressman Kwame Kilpatrick. I communicate with her on a regular. I know what this has done
to her family
and how it has impacted her. And as a mother of one son that is elected, I want to do what I can to seize that opportunity. I know that he is very transactional. Excuse me one moment.
So
here for 910. I know that he's transactional, and he's a business person. And, I'm not in this equation to get shortchanged to promote him as the key criminal justice reformer. That's not my agenda. My agenda is to simply seize the opportunity to have the request made that is already before him. If he looks favorably on it, I won't be out with a MAGA hat on.
I wouldn't either. Sherry, I got to ask you this question. I know that there are a lot of folks who are for clemency for former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, and then there are still a lot of Detroiters who are against it. He's a very controversial figure, and what you were able to accomplish by going to the White House and delivering that letter has sparked a little bit of controversy among different segments of the population here in the city of Detroit. I must say, and I was telling Donna earlier, that I have never been so riveted by a politician than how I was captured by Mayor Kilpatrick in the same lines of previous generations being enraptured with Coleman Young or Barack Obama. What do you say to those who disagree with what you did? Detroiters who were here who disagree with that.
Yeah. So one, in leadership, I was recently listening to Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail and him answering the criticism of pastors who didn't think he belonged in Birmingham or in Alabama. And if you read that or if you listen to that, you'll note that, he highlights you will never get consensus completely from everyone. That's not what I'm looking for. If people are reasonable and able to reason and look at just the whole fairness and equity in this equation, is no argument that can dispute the fact that out of 11 people that the president provided clemency for, there's complete comparison with respect to what was done, but the time that was initially even of their sentence is totally different and less than Kwame Kilpatrick's.
Right.
You have McConnell, who had 2 years, who didn't do any time. You have Blagojevich, who was sentenced to 14 years.
Yep.
Kwame was sentenced to 28 years. And if people could get, and so what I'm starting to realize, some people can't have a debate without taking step by step to dissect why do you feel that way. Some of them are simply caught up on he was too cocky and arrogant. Some of them don't actually read and they don't know what the charges were. Some of them don't know that $13,000 that was used for private use versus $350,000 from McConnell in Virginia. So people are not looking at the facts. They just took the harassment that came from the media, formed their own opinion. They might have been on the other end of a situation where somebody was dissed or disrespected by the former mayor. I'm not sure, but they're not using factual information. And when they're willing to talk factual information, I'm willing to have a conversation. And I like people we don't all have to agree, but at least let's make sure that we're putting factual information on the table. Anything beyond that, you'll see those who can't talk factual, they'll just get frustrated and blow up. And so you got to set emotions aside and use real factual information and compare his sentence and compare those who receive commutation or no time at all. And if you could tell me on its face it's fair, then I'm done talking, trying to convince you.
And I think the other thing is you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of prison? If the purpose of prison is to hold people accountable, there are studies that have shown that anything beyond 5 years is excessive. If the purpose of prison is to keep somebody safe from somebody who will go out and commit an offense and pose a danger, that's where long sentences come in. But long sentences, I don't think, should ever be applied for people who have not done, who are not a physical danger to society. I just think that we live in a prison culture, and so if you take his name out of it, it's wrong. And you have to look at the fact that he is a father, and his sons have been denied a father.
A son,
he is
husband.
a son, and his parents are getting older, and so even if you dislike him, even if you think he is guilty, and I actually thought the letter that you sent was a good letter, right? I read it, and I thought that you made some valid points, and I don't think that what you were trying to do is say he's innocent. I think what you were trying to say is this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think that Detroiters agree with you. Kwame Kilpatrick means a lot to a lot of people.
Yes, he does.
And so it also causes harm to people in Detroit who see somebody they have admired and loved, and a lot of young people
we sang
love
for
him.
Kwame.
JG is our producer, and he was talking about singing for Kwame as, a high school student.
Junior high.
Junior high. I'm sorry. I forgot how long you all have been together. He and Orlando sang for Kwame in junior high. Was that part of the Youth on the Edge of Greatness
that was
program?
Part of YLE, yeah.
Warren Connor had a program. ECN had a program where they sang to the mayor. And so, it feels personal to people.
It does. State Rep, I know we only have you for a couple more minutes, and so I got to ask you about a piece of news that broke at the end of January around you exploring bid for Detroit Mayor in 2020, and that you would be forming a committee to explore this mayoral bid. And I just want to know if you have any exclusive news to share on Authentically Detroit. Where are you at with this exploratory phase?
So, my day job is still serving as a legislator, and that commands a lot of my time. Many people say they don't understand how my leadership has kind of blossomed into this complete community service component. But this is who I was as a staffer working for two city council members for 9.5 years. It's how I was taught. So I'm pretty old school, and it's just always out in the community. The scope of where we are with respect to the exploratory committee is talking to individuals. We have some that are committed. I believe that there is safe multitude of counsel to former mayors, talking to leaders in the community, but also talking to people that can help raise. What I don't wish to do is to just simply say, I'm running, without really taking the time to determine the cost that we can aim out here, ways that we can polling. If we have that possibility, I've not ran outside of my district.
Yeah. So can I jump in and ask you really quickly with with respect to the exploratory bid, do you have a timeline on when you want to be able to wrap up exploring and make a decision?
So the races next year, I'd say June, and I didn't want to get into the impacting the primary and the presidential piece and a lot of focus on that. But I think June is a safe place to determine after our discovery what our path looks like and the possibility of raising dollars and having those commitments for those that will serve on the committee.
So,
speaking of presidential primaries, do you have a candidate?
No, I kind of stay out of it. But what I will say is I expect in this presidential election for the Democratic Party to ensure that it's a very diverse ticket. I think it's important that we have an African-American vice president. And so I know that many have been saying vote blue no matter who. My saying is add a little brown and I'm down.
I'll take it.
I'm not just voting blue no matter who. I need a African-American. I think we can demand that.
Anytime and Stacey Abrams has agreed to, be on a vice presidential ticket.
So let's get it. Let's get it. We have to demand that spot and not be taken for granted. And again, Donna, we got off onto the conversation about business people. And yes, I know. Let me tell you something. I was one of the people that was horribly offended in all of my years of researching and advocating for DPS. One of my conversations I will never forget as long as I live, as I would follow Robert Bob around. At one point, he's just stopped because I guess I was like a gnat. And he turned to me. He said, "Look, you need to stop all of this advocacy and become a capitalist." And I was just like, "You are horrible. You are horrible."
Lord.
But I'll say this. As I mature, as I've learned how my party has treated me, I will say that we have to be smarter and not just be used out here by the party without expected gains.
I agree.
I'm giving my time,
That's good.
my service, my volunteerism to 3 gubernatorial campaigns: Virg Bonero, Mark Schauer, Gretchen Whitmer, and you give yourself to people and write checks to them. And I've noticed that none of them have wrote a check for me. None of them have called to say, how can I help you? None of them have showed up to an event that I've had. So we got to pay attention and not just be used as Black people as the automatic Democrats. We have to find our place in the middle to negotiate what is best for us.
And I'm not.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. When you've gotten used out here, we got to do better.
Well, you know what?
Show up for the party.
Well, we get used by everybody, right? And that's our history in America. I think we need a Black agenda. I think we need some Black talking points and things we need to bring to politicians and say, if you want the Black vote, you must agree to these things, or we're not giving it to you. We're not campaigning for you. We're not making phone calls and going door to door. But until we come up with a
short memory.
Pardon me?
We have a short memory, though.
We have a short memory about some
but
things,
see, if
not everything.
We don't have a PAC, we don't have an agenda, we don't have anybody who is holding people accountable once they get into office. Some of us will sit around and talk.
So shameless plug, we're going to be together on this Saturday.
This Saturday.
We sure will.
March the 7th, and we're going to fire it up.
Yes, we are. I can't wait.
I do have a pack, but what happens, they come in and they pick one or two people off, and the same usual suspects get the money, and the same free workers show up and do the free work.
Well, you
That's
know
not
what?
me no more. I'm 53. It's not happening no more.
Right. Well, I got you by 3 years, but you know what? So I'm down, and I think I cannot wait until Saturday because I think we have to have these conversations. I'm tired of election years. We talk about getting used, but we have not made a shared demand in between then. And so I look forward to that conversation on Saturday and many more conversations about how to stand for our people. And I want to thank you so much
for coming
joining
on
us today.
Thank you all.
Yeah, and we hope
Thank
to
you
have
for
you
the
on
work that you
again.
all are doing.
And we hope to have you on again in June after you figured out what you're going to do. Maybe you can come on the show.
I look forward to it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Have a
right,
good
thank
one.
you.
Have a blessed
We'll be
day.
right back, everybody.
too.
We'll be
All right.
right back. In our discussion this week, we are joined by Angela Wilson, ECN's Director of Community Organizing and Planning, and Dillon Brown, ECN's Project Planning Coordinator, to talk about all things census. ECN is encouraging everybody on the East Side and the city to stand up and be counted in this year's census. The impetus for this discussion is NBC News article that says Detroit tops the list of hard-to-count cities ahead of this year's census. How about that, Angela?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. When you look at, our city, we have a lot of vacant land, a lot of vacancy, and, we at ECN had a program called the Partnership for Economic Independence a couple years ago, and one of the things that I discovered is that there are a lot of people living in abandoned houses,
Mm-hmm.
like squatting. People call it squatting, but they're living. I mean, they don't have any place else to go.
Yeah.
Their economic situation is just that dire, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to count people like that because they don't necessarily want to be counted because they know they're not living legally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to find ways to help those people feel comfortable to be acknowledged and counted because they do count. It does matter. And the revenue that can be generated from them being counted can make a difference for them, in terms of resources that might become available for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important that we find everybody and we get them all counted.
Yeah, so the NBC News article points out a few things. It says that the reason why Detroit is the toughest to tally is, number one, the vacant houses, the sparse internet access, and the census is going to be internet-driven this year. I want you all to talk a little bit about that, Dillon, and high poverty. So about 86% of Detroit's population lives in hard-to-count neighborhoods, by far the largest proportion of any major U.S. city. The other thing that I want to point out is that Detroit is an over 80% majority black city, right? And so we're talking about a huge swath, the largest black city in America, not being adequately counted. So, Dillon, what do you have going on? What have you done to make sure that we have an answer for these factors?
Right. So I think the biggest thing is just ensuring that we're building awareness and education within the community, within the city of Detroit. Some of the factors. One thing that we haven't talked about yet is that there's a lot of trust issues going on within our communities. Whenever we're talking about the census, there's a lack of education that has disrupted the awareness of our communities and the residents within. So when you talk about the census and when you go in the neighborhoods and you talk about the census, individuals kind of already like back away because they shy away because there's so much trauma that has happened just with documents in general. And I was just at a church on Sunday and having a conversation with a young fellow, and he was like, well, I don't want to give my information away because I don't know, where it's going. Or I don't know how it's going to impact me. So there's a lack of education there, but there's also a legitimate
if
case
the government
of trust.
wanted to find you,
Yeah.
the government will
Yeah.
find you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Keep going.
So I
Sorry.
think that there's an opportunity that we can seize to really build awareness around the census. One thing that we're doing at ECN within the upcoming months in March the 26th, actually, from 6 to 9 p.m., we're doing this thing called the Man Cave. And the Man Cave, we're going to invite all of the men within the community to be a part of an event where we just watch the March Madness. We have some free food, some free drinks. We have an opportunity to, just enjoy each other and fellowship. But most importantly, really having some conversation and some dialogue not only just about the census, but also just building awareness about life, talking about life, fellowship, brotherhood, fatherhood, just building just having the opportunity for men to come in and just converse. A lot of, not just only the men that show up at the community meetings, the men that are active in the community, but individuals who don't have an opportunity to speak up. One thing we always want to prioritize is ensuring that we give people the opportunity to speak up. And this is an opportunity for individuals to speak up, but also an opportunity for us to inform. I've asked Mr. Daniel Baxter to come in and be a part to help facilitate this conversation. But the census is important, and we also want to push the envelope on that. But we also want to, 10 years, there's a 10-year gap between each census, and we want to talk about what happens within those 10 years. It's a big urge to push the census. It's a big urge to get individuals counted, but we also want to talk about the resources that we have available for residents within the community. We want to talk about the financial, the financial responsibilities that, we're expecting from the leaders of our community and the men. So we're trying to really push some conversation at this event. And then in April, we're doing the same thing for women. And then in May, we've partnered with Citizen Detroit, and we're going to do something for the family. So we're bringing everybody together.
Sweet. So what are some of the most common misconceptions you hear about people wanting to or not wanting to participate in the census?
One is hard to dispel, and that is the one that Dillon just pointed at, and that is that the information might be shared, whether they're, people who, are just concerned about what might happen to their information, or they're people who are, maybe not here legally in this country, or people who have warrants, or, whatever the situation, looking for me for child support, whatever it is. A lot of those people are uncertain. They don't know what happened to information, but legally, by constitutional law, the information can't be shared. Now, you could say that, but that's my mouth talking, right? Yeah. And people don't believe it. But, so far, that's been true. And we believe that. A lot of people don't trust our current administration to allow that to stand, but that is what the law says. That is what the Constitution says, that they can't share any of the information that they collect from us through census. Right. And they don't share the information with your detailed data attached to it. It's, aggregated, and then shared.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are a couple other issues. We have people living in permanent supportive housing in a project across the street. And this woman was evicted because she had a man living with her, and he was not allowable in that space. And we have people who have unallowed family members who don't get counted because, we got to hide them, which is, really ridiculous to me that people are told who can and cannot live with them. It just feels like such an invasion of privacy. If I'm paying my rent, is none of your business. But I guess that's not the law. But the other thing is, of course, all of the immigrant communities, African, Asian, Mexican, Middle Eastern, all of these immigrant communities fear deportation.
Absolutely.
And in our part of the town, we don't really know what's happening in Southwest Detroit.
Yeah.
We don't understand ICE. We think ICE goes to the homes of people who are here illegally. But in reality, ICE follows brown people home and breaks into their home on suspicion. And so they're, kids go to school and they're being afraid of being rounded up. I don't know if you've read about these 8-year-olds
these raids.
carrying around passports so they can prove they are here legally. And that sounds so much to me like Nazi Germany, where people had to carry around evidence that they could be where they are. So we have created this condition, or I should say, President Trump has created this condition of fear. We talked about many other things that he's done, but this condition of panic and fear in our community that will suppress the count. And then I think people also have a lot of anger at government in general.
Absolutely.
Anger and mistrust.
And so this city government overcharged my taxes by $600 million. And people think Mayor Duggan did that, which is not true. Right. It happened over a longer time span, and the reasons were more complicated than one person doing something wrong. But people actually believe that Mayor Duggan overcharged by $600 million. Why am I going to help him get more money?
Right. So
we have to be careful to help people understand that these resources don't benefit the mayor, you know. So one other exciting thing happened this weekend, and that is that I saw my granddaughter's on a billboard for the census.
Be counted.
Be counted, and
And that's the campaign the mayor in the city
Yeah.
of Detroit is doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Luna
She was.
Yeah.
Nay is on a billboard,
Yeah.
and it's talking about libraries and investment in libraries. So
Right.
of course she is looking at a book. I won't say she's reading yet, but she's two. But she's
She's so
looking at a
cute.
book, and I think that we have to look at libraries, schools. Daycare centers. We have to look at the amount of subsidy
Clinics.
that's made available for clinics, for Head Start.
Yep.
It's much greater than helping the mayor. In fact, it's not helping the mayor, although the city will get more of a share of federal revenue.
Yeah.
But that goes to support
Yeah.
other activities in the city. I think
Yeah.
we have to make those things clear to people.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So the NBC News article reports a few new challenges for this upcoming census that I want you guys to expound upon. For the first time, most census data will be collected online, making it more difficult for people without reliable internet access to participate, most of whom live in areas that are already historically undercounted. And the federal government is unlikely to invest in resources to do the outreach strategy. Luckily, our city has raised money to do a massive media outreach strategy. But what are you all doing to combat the technological gap that exists within our community?
Well, actually, the city has actually been successful at getting the federal census effort to put out more paper apps in Detroit.
Nice.
So more people than were originally expected will actually
Yeah.
get the census form mailed to their homes,
Yeah.
paper form. I
Nice.
forgot the number, but
Yeah.
it's substantially more than what
Yeah.
they had originally planned. They said the majority, I think, of the city of Detroit will get a paper form.
Yeah, on March 12th, that's when the actual online census goes live. And then they have until April 30th, I believe, to respond to that. And if they don't respond to that, that's when they'll get some information. They'll get the door knocking, people showing up at your doorstep. So if you don't want people showing up at your doorstep, you have an opportunity to take advantage of the online census.
All right. So, Be Counted in Detroit 2020. So, give out your information so folks can contact you guys, come to an event, come participate. Yeah.
Absolutely. So before I do that, I just want to shout out Icewear Vezo. He was also, I believe, on a billboard with his slogan. I think it was something with Be Counted, but
Yep,
the city
he was
also
on
partnered
there.
with him. And I think the
And
mayor-
Cash Doll.
Yeah, Cash Doll also.
Yeah.
So they're making a push to reach as many people as possible. But again, my name is Dillon Brown. You can reach me. My phone number, my office number is 313-331-3714. I am the community planning coordinator at Eastside Community Network. Also,
You helping folks apply for jobs too, right? With
yes,
the Census
sir.
Bureau.
Yes, sir. So jobs are still open. You can go to the website for the census jobs, censusjobs.gov. I believe that's the website. And
Yes.
you can go on there and apply, and it's still open. People are getting calls back. So the process is you go online. You only can do the job application online, and we actually hosted on February 11th an actual application drive in which we had about 40 residents come out and apply for the jobs, and they're getting calls back. I just talked to a resident who's actually, went and got her fingerprint. Each fingerprint location is outside the city, so she went to Livonia, got her fingerprint,
Sheesh.
and it was pretty far. Got her fingerprint, and now she's getting ready to do the training. So you get paid for the training. So it's an opportunity to do that.
I believe there is a place right on Mac, just east of Cadu, where you can get fingerprints. So
It's called All something.
So
All
Are they
purpose.
working
All
with-
purpose screeners. But I know that they have contracted with
Yeah.
different places. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I want to shout out the Man Cave. It will be at the Mac Market over here on Mac. It's going to be March 26th from 6 to 9 p.m. We're going to be watching the March Madness tournament.
The what?
The
Say it
March
again?
Madness
The
tournament.
March Madness.
So whoever wins that, we're going to be excited about that. Having some conversation, free food, free drinks. We have beer sponsored by Altus to really bring the full Man Cave effect out. So we're going to have some fun. So I invite all men to go ahead. There's an Eventbrite that you can click on and register, or you can just contact me again, 313-331-3714, or you can reach me via email, D as in dog, Brown at ecn-detroit.org. And then on April 25th from 11 to 2 p.m., we're doing the same thing with women. It won't be called a man cave. We're still planning for that, but we definitely want to get all of our women out to be a part.
And Angela, how can the folks get in contact with you?
Phone number 313-331-3493, and email address awilson@ecn-detroit.org.
Now, we have something coming up with your program on April 4th, right? Is the Show Me the Money Day?
Oh, yes, April 4th, Show Me the Money Day. It's 11 to 3 o'clock over at the Butzel Family Center on Kirchhoff and Van Dyke. We hope everybody will come out and join us. There'll be food, there'll be prizes, door prizes, but a lot of resources related to money. Everything from workshops to resources to help you save money, get things done in your home or for your family. And this year we're partnered with Butzel Family Center, so there'll be a whole component of the event focused at high school students looking to go to college and finding money for college. And we'll have activities for kids as well. We want everybody to have an opportunity to learn about money and experience ways to, make their money grow or expand. Our keynote speaker is going to be the well-known Gail Perry Mason, who we're excited to have join us that day.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. Shout out to ECN's COP department. You all are doing some amazing stuff, some really good work. We just had a staff meeting last Tuesday, and we got to hear about all the great things that the community organizing and planning department has been working on. So good job, Angela, in leading that department, and great job, everybody over there.
Absolutely.
Can I make a quick plug? We are part of the Accounting Aid Society VITA program.
Yeah.
So if your income, I believe, is under $54,000, you can get your income taxes prepared for free. I do not have the phone number with me, but you can go to Accounting Aid Society website or VITA, I think it's like VITA.com, and sign up and request to be, scheduled with us at ECN. If you're here on the East Side, we'd be happy to help you. We have had people coming in, bringing in their documents, getting their taxes prepared, and picking those up.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining us, Dillon and Angela.
Thank you very much for having us on.
Listen, if you have topics that you want discussed on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Authentically Detroit, or email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. Donnie, you got any shout-outs?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I want to shout out Kim Trent for participating in the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers and telling the story of the, I'm going to get the title wrong, the challenge that she helped lead to raise money to get rape kits tested. There were over 11,000 rape kits that had not been tested, and Kim stood up and made sure she worked with foundations and other people, and actually worked with Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy to get that done. In her telling, she told her own story in the public about having been a rape survivor herself. I think that it took great courage and leadership for her to help make that happen. I am so proud to call Kim a friend, so I want to shout her out for that.
I'm going to shout out Donna for her appointment to the Advisory Council of the Governor's Task Force on Poverty. Huh? Congratulations, Donna.
Oh, thank you.
That's right. Let's do this.
Okay.
Dr. Charles Simmons of the Hush House at Eastern Michigan University, who was at an event, speaking at an event that one of our interns went to and connected with our intern, Charlie Dewey. Turns out Charlie ended up making the connection that Dr. Simmons was also one of my journalism professors at Eastern Michigan University. He was my law and ethics professor at EMU, so shout out to him. Donnie, you had another shout out.
I do. To Kenyatta Peoples from the Cody Rouge Action Alliance for being featured in Rolling Out magazine.
Hey, Kenyatta.
Kenyatta is such a dynamic leader. It's
I
hard
love
to
her.
believe, yet so sweet, smart, and committed. And it's hard to believe a woman as young as she is, everybody seems young to me, was the founder and is the CEO of the Cody Rouge Action Alliance.
And it's doing well.
It's doing well. They're doing great things, facilitating reinvestment in the community, working with a lot of corporate partners. And on the side, she has a fitness business. So, and she's a very, very involved mother. I think her daughter was just somewhere doing some amazing dance, and all of her kids are involved in things. So she's an outstanding mother, community leader,
Awesome.
and just a great person all around.
That's amazing.
Shout out to Rashida Williams for her Empowered Flower Girl feature in Metro Parent Magazine. You all may remember Z, who was one of our receptionists at one point, Arzenia Williams. This is Z's daughter, Rashida, from Empowered Flower Girl. And we want to shout out Misha Stallworth and Brandon Jessup and State Senator Stephanie Chang for coming out to the Detroiters for Warren event that Donna and I hosted this past Saturday. You will be able to hear that live audio pretty soon.
Yeah, and shout out to JG.
JG.
Hanging with Orlando and me all week.
All week. We've been running JG
Yes,
crazy.
he said, when do I sleep?
When do I sleep? I know that's right. And I want to shout out my friend Anthony Askew, who's doing amazing rehab work in the Highland Park area. It turns out that one of the homes that he is restoring was the childhood home of Detroit historian and musician and artist Marsha Philpott.
Wow.
Yeah, also known as Marsha Music. And it was a really beautiful story. He found some old family photos that belonged to Marsha. And the house was burned down, so he's been restoring it, and he returned those photos to Marsha. So it was a really beautiful story. And shout out to JG again, because he was at this event that Donna and I also hosted last Wednesday with Maggie DeSantis in the Building the Engine of Community Development. So shout out to Maggie. That audio is also going to be made available within the coming days. Make sure.
One thing you know is that Orlando and I talk a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give you that.
Yeah, right? And make sure you check out the March 20th Secret Society for Twisted Storytellers event. It is dubbed Black Men Count. And I think you're going to see somebody you are, used to listening to on the airwaves on stage. I'll be hitting the stage at the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers at the Charles H. Wright on March 20th. And Donna got something coming up this Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday, Voting While Black, the significance, value, and power of the Black vote. So Sherry and I will be at it again on Saturday, along with attorney Victoria Burton Harris, who's running for Wayne County prosecutor.
Yes.
Honorable Nicole Small from the Detroit Charter Commission. Lavora Barnes, who is the chair of the Michigan Democratic Party. Cynthia Douglas with the Grosse Pointe Harper Woods NAACP. Latasha Brown, who's the co-founder of Black Voices Matter, an award-winning organizer. And Wayne Bradley, our resident Republican. So he'll have fun. And this event is being moderated by Detroit's own Queen of Talk Radio, Mildred Gaddis.
Oh, my friend.
This event is being convened by Brian Banks, and it's going to take place at the Ronald Brown Academy from 1:30 at 1:30 p.m. I can't tell you when it's going to be over because it's a large panel, and I talk a lot.
It's two panels.
Two panels.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's two panels. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of dialogue each panel. So join us if you can. And, a lot of us talk about Black people being taken for granted during election years, but we really need to make sure that we don't take ourselves for granted and minimize our own voice. Somebody has to stand up and make some demands on our government.
Absolutely.
The squeaky wheel does get oiled. When we don't make any demands, we can't expect other people to care about us more than we care about ourselves. And I'm not looking for people to necessarily come with solutions. We live inside of our community. We know what we need. And if we aren't coming together and figuring out how to tell that story and share with politicians, shame on us. So I'm looking forward to an exciting year ahead.
Oh, man.
We're going to be doing a whole lot to try to make sure we get people out to vote in 2020.
For sure.
Eastside
I don't care
votes.
who you vote for.
Let's go.
Eastside votes, but you got to go to the polls.
Sure. Got you.
Your voice matters.
Take your souls to the
Two things you have to do. Number one, get counted. And the number two, vote.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Don't boo, vote by the illustrious President Barack Obama. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time. Catch the wave.